Hello and welcome to the Screen Podcast, bringing you insight and analysis of the global film industry, brought to you by Screen International and ScreenDaily.com. I'm Wendy Mitchell, contributing editor at Screen, and today I'm just here to welcome you to a special conversation between Screen's senior reporter for UK and International, Ben Dalton, talking to the legend, Peter Lord, co-founder of Aardman. Anyone smart enough to listen to the Screen Podcast, I think, will know Aardman very well. This is the famed animation studio based in Bristol, England, and they are celebrating their milestone 50th anniversary this year. As Wallace might say to Gromit, that's cracking. In this episode, Peter talks about everything from his first 25 quid paycheck for his first short film back when he was a teenager, to right up to today, to what we can expect from the new Shaun the Sheep movie that's coming out, and how he sees the threat or the opportunity of AI in the animation world. Peter is also about to give a big talk at the Annecy Film Festival, which is the festival for animation, and Ben will also be in Annecy, so do stay tuned to Screen Daily for Ben's reports from the festival. I'm more than a little jealous that they're going to be on those pedalos in Lake Annecy, but I hope the festival goes well. And without further ado, I'm handing over to Ben.
I'm delighted to be joined on the Screen Podcast by Peter Lord, co-founder and creative director of Aardman. Welcome to the podcast, Peter. How are you?
Thanks, Ben. I'm very good. Thank you. Very good.
We're delighted to have you here, and we're especially glad to be speaking to Peter as this is the 50-year celebration of Aardman. And there is so much going on, I know, to celebrate 50 years of Aardman. Peter, where can you start? What can you tell me about what is happening this year, throughout the year, to celebrate Aardman's half century?
Yes. Well, my head is spinning a bit with it all, to be honest. So let me see. Where do we start? We have started, haven't we? I think the first thing is an exhibition which is still on at the Young V&A, which is just lovely. An exhibition of of our work, the sort of and how to do animation as well. So it kind of has sort of a fairly educational tone, but in a very light-hearted fashion. So that's very lovely.
And what kind of things are they showing in that exhibition? What have they got there?
So what they got some lovely sets, some lovely complete sets, and the sets to our films are just delightful. I can say, true, just amazing. So we get scenes from Wallace and Gromit, something from Shaun the Sheep, something even from the Pirates movie, and the way we build our sets, they're miniature locations, and we make everything by hand. And the craftsmanship, and the humor, and the observation. They just looking at the sets alone is a delight. Letting your eye track around Wallace's living room to see, the titles of the books on the shelves and that kind of fine detail. At that exhibition in London now at the Young V&A, we have a thing which is particularly I'm proud of, which is the pirate ship from the Pirates. And that is a magnificent piece. That's just fantastic. It's huge and impressive. It sort of dominates the room. And again, you look at it, it's lovely, and you marvel at the fact that everything's been handmade, which it has. And then you can your eye can scan around it like you were almost reading it and see all the little jokes that are built in. For example, with this, I can tell people now, with this boat, what people don't normally spot is a meta joke. It's actually two ships badly fixed together. Presumably the pirate captain was so poor that he had to get the cheapest old second-hand ship he could. And so this ship, it's got the two ends are stuck together. And the front end is sort of from 1830 or something, and the rear end is from about 1700. Which, I don't expect the average viewer to spot that. But when you know and you look at it, that's really, really clever. And then there's just funny details. That he's got sort of
Fantastic. Oh, that's definitely
a,
good. And then you have concerts this year, is that right?
yes, thank you. I was going on too much. We've got concerts, which I was just went to the other night, which is traveling UK, and it's Aardman in concert. So you play like the highlight is they play a close shave with a live orchestra, which is just brilliant. And then there's all kinds of merriment. It's a very very fun show with some amazing montages of different movies, all done with live music, which is great for. Uh, it's lovely to see the films on the big screen, and the live music just gives it up for power, which is special. So there's that. There's an exhibition starting tomorrow in Bristol at the M Shed, which is a museum in Bristol, which would the same sort of ideas, I suppose. The sets and the props and the puppets and the designs, the storyboards, all these things that go to make a film. We have I went to the Royal Mint in Wales where they were striking. I think is the correct verb. A new 50p piece, and on the 50p there's Wallace and Gromit, Sean, Morph, and Feathers We Roar on this thing. So that's rather wonderful. That was great fun too. You can get a gold one if you're feeling rich. Then what else?
I don't know how many companies, production companies or companies of any kind can say that they have their own collectible coins. I think you're the first person I've spoken to who has his own Royal Mint collectible coin. It's
Pretty short, isn't it? Yeah, yeah. And I don't want to, but while we're on the list of things, I've just been made a knight. Me and Dave Sproxton. Did you hear that?
I did, and I was going to offer my great congratulations to you and your co-founder, David Sproxton,
Yeah.
on this knighthood. What does that mean to you? What does that represent, getting that particular recognition?
Wow. It's lovely. It's just lovely, isn't it? I mean, the fact that it's kind of like some esoteric medieval thing is delightful, is hilarious. Because I like Sir Peter. I mean, I feel like something out of a fairy tale or out of a myth. But that's the impact of the title. But the fact that we're recognised, but both of us, and as I will always maintain, the whole company, that's a fabulous thing. It's a lovely thing, People here at the studio are, what can I say? They're really kind, they're really enthusiastic, and fairly sarcastic as well. If you can make, there's quite a lot of bowing going on there, of a rather a fairly sarcastic nature. So that's fine. I'm up for that. So that's good. We're going to. This is a very very busy couple of weeks. I'm going to Annecy in France on Saturday, where we're having a big program at the Annecy Animation Festival, which is the biggest animation festival in the world, I think. And so it's nice to be there as well.
Absolutely, yeah. We'll get on to Annecy very shortly, because I know that's been a part of Aardman's history, and now big events coming up. One other on the celebrations, I believe I was at the Lightroom venue in King's Cross just last night, and I believe there's something Aardman entering almost another dimension later in the year. What can you say about that?
Yeah. Well, that's exciting. What they do there at Lightroom is I think fabulous. I'm a huge fan of what they do. They make dynamic video programs and they project them immersively onto gigantic walls in a big square room, so that you are totally surrounded by the work. But it's not just questions of scale, although it is impressive. But they're very clever at editing together details, making stories out of still images. So you'll see. What can I tell you? I mean, Morph will be there eventually, and I sort of can't wait to see it, because he will be at some stage. Anyway, he'll be absolutely enormous, which is quite funny given that he's only yay high. The fact that he's going to be towering over the place will be fascinating to see. So again, a mixture of a bit of art history, not too much. We don't want to for people with that bit of our history and scenes from our films and scenes from the making of our films, and all put together in a really interesting, creative manner.
There are so many ways for people to engage with Aardman over these next few weeks and this year, and I'm sure your many millions of fans will be delighted to hear about these things. Are these external activities, whether it's collectible coins, exhibitions, are these more important now for a film production company? You know, you are still a film and television and many other formats production company. Why do these sort of external activities matter?
Well, I guess there are different sort of ways of looking at that, I suppose. I mean, there are some of these endeavors are commercial, you know. Yeah, there's some money in them somewhere, um, and that's important for us. But it's actually not a driver for us. No, because we're all about making the films, telling the stories, going forward. All our focus is on that. I mean, we haven't mentioned um, Shaun the Sheep, but that's also there's a new Shaun the Sheep movie released this year. That's the super important thing to us, I think, because that's the film that we care about. But these other events, what I guess they help to draw an audience, you know, help to engage an audience. Um, you know, we we take our fans, our supporters very, very seriously and value them very highly. It's nice to do things for them. So yes, there are some things I think are just done for fun, pretty well. Um, yeah, uh, and some, yeah, are commercially viable as well. Yeah,
Good to have that balance, certainly. Now, if
yeah.
you'll forgive me being slightly cheeky, is it quite 50 years of Aardman? Tell me, why have you chosen this year exactly? Because I know that you were working before 1976.
That's true, actually. I mean, it's funny, isn't it? Like 50 years seems like a long time, which it is, but you could make a very good case for 55 years if you wanted to, or maybe even 56. The truth is that Dave and I, the two founders, as we are, um, we were at high school together, at grammar school together, and and so we met when we were 12, and we started animating for fun when we were, I guess, about 16. So around about 1970, around about then, um, we experimented with animation for fun. And then by very good luck and good timing, we got a chance to actually put our work onto TV screens, which is amazing. And the first thing that was ever shown sort of publicly was a piece of drawn animation about a character who looked a little bit like a badly out of condition superhero. And we called him Aardman. And we called him Aardman because um, we thought that aardvark was a very funny word. And so we took the Ard of Aardvark and the Man of Superman. We called our superhero Aardman. And we sold this short film to the BBC, to a TV program the program was called Vision On. And we sold it for, I think, 25 quid. So, and then they said, "Oh, we'll send you some money. We'll send you a check." Those were the days, eh? Those ancient history. We'll send you a check. They said, who should we make it out to? So we chose the name Aardman for the studio, and that must have been 71 or 72. So yeah, we go back a long way. Yeah, it is. But why? But why now? What we chose to do at some stage, everyone was so puzzled by all these possible dates and so on that we chose 1976 as the start, which was the year that Dave and I moved to Bristol and decided that we would try to make a career out of it. Just that.
And
So,
what a career so far it's been. I mean, well, I think we could do a whole podcast series on the history of Aardman. But looking at now, it's interesting that you speak about having started making a short film.
mm,
What is the balance of Aardman as a company now between obviously your very successful feature films, but also shorter form content,
mhm.
other formats? How do you sort of balance those things across the company?
Yeah, I think the the main balance is then between the full length feature films and series work. And those are the two big ones, I think. And you may have heard that we're working on a series project with Pokemon, which is you know something else again. So we've got Pokemon alongside Shaun the Sheep, and that sort of maybe exemplifies it. But then uh, these days, other things come along, and we are very receptive to ideas, to new ideas, because you know they might be good business. They're good business, and they're good for the culture of the place as well. So we've done a very nice little project involving Lego. It's called Boop, and you know, i- it's a straightforward commercial transaction with them, p- but it's very creative. It's not when we had to come up with a whole story, a whole entirely new story, new characters, uh, but using Lego to make the world, and it looks gorgeous. I'm really proud of it. It's a delightful looking piece now, and it sets people's minds racing, including ours, I guess. Seeing possibilities, so that's good. And then a lot of the business of the company then is uh, I I can't bear to use the word exploit. That's such an awful word. But the rights to characters, so that we've got a cat, so like toys and T-shirts and books and things like that. That particularly with Shaun the Sheep, especially him, also Wallace and Gromit, more for a little bit, and that's part of the business as well. And we devote a lot of time to that as well. So that when you come here, it's a good mix actually of people who are thinking of the new ideas, and they're thinking it in a 10-year vision, of a whole new story, a whole new characters that currently don't exist that could exist if we get there. There's people doing all the film crafts. They're writing scripts, they're storyboarding, they're designing, and then elsewhere in the building, they actually shooting. We have a studio here. We have two studios actually, but one of them's here, and there'll be somebody's at work on a TV commercial right now, and then there's the team who do the rights of all the characters. So it's very complicated. There are many things going on. It's way beyond me. I mean, I leave that to the executive board, most of that.
Well, that's why you've got a good team around you. And how many are you at Aardman now? 'Cause it's a big company.
Yeah, of course, it is a big company. I should know. I should tell you exactly, shouldn't I? I think it's around about 150, that kind of thing. But when we are in production, we've just finished shooting the Shaun the Sheep film, which is called The Beast of Mossy Bottom, and and when we're in production, well, we can be up to 400, 450 quite often. And those people, they come and go with the projects, which I think is the way that our industry works. But we have a large permanent team as well.
Of course, of course. And sort of thinking of industry trends, we're seeing broadly across the film and sort of media sector a lot of consolidation, companies eating up other companies. But
Yeah,
8 years ago at Aardman, as sort of was widely reported, you went employee owned and you put
yeah,
that sort of control in more hands, not fewer hands.
yes,
Could you
yeah,
talk about why you decided to do that and what benefits have you seen since 2018?
yeah. Um, I think there are two main reasons. I think probably. probably 10, but let's just say 2. One was a sense of fairness, maybe that we always depended on our staff completely. Our success. Dave and I started it great, but since then, so many other people have driven it and led it on and made it great. And we wanted to sort of formally sort of include everyone into the success of the company, and that's a very important thing to do that. But then the other point is the one you referred to a minute ago, which is the conventional thing to do. For Dave and I to do would be, as we approach retirement, we'd flog the company off to somebody, and then retire to Tuscany and live in a palace. I think would be the conventional plan.
Sounds lovely.
Yeah, but we didn't want that. We didn't want that. But we really didn't want to do that because, as I said to the company at the time, our main reason is because we love the company. Actually, is the single phrase, and it's so dear to us, to both of us, so important to us. And we're proud of its success, but we're grateful for its success as well. And if you sell to, you might choose a big multinational company and sell to them and get a boatload of money, but then in a few years' time they get bought up. Their ownership changes, and our work would become just a commodity, and it's not that. It's not a thing to, as far as we're concerned, it's not a thing to be bought and sold. So it keeps us independent. That's the thing. So we've never had shareholders. We've never had anyone to answer to in that way. And it's not, running a company is not easy in the current times. It's not easy. Things don't go, silkily smoothly all the time. But most importantly, the choices are ours. We're not pressurized by anybody else.
Absolutely. Well, that seems to work well for Aardman, and long live independence in various colours and shapes. So glad to see that. Now, a lot of our listeners and our readers at Screen and people beyond that will know Aardman as the claymation success story, and for your the physical aspect of your animation, the real physical element of that, and the work that goes into that. Another major industry trend topic at the moment is around artificial intelligence and its role in filmmaking, and perhaps that intersects very directly with animation, animation before maybe other sectors of the industry. I know that Nick Park, who we've not mentioned yet, but your long-time collaborator, said sort of late last year that Aardman would embrace AI, but cautiously. He was made very considered comments about it.
Yeah.
What does that look like in practice? And is that something, what are your feelings about the use of artificial intelligence in animation filmmaking?
Yes. It is a massively important, critical time. And as you said, we have made a reputation on a particularly intimately handmade style that when you watch our films, I think you are, the most important thing is you enjoy the stories in the films. That's the most important thing. But secondly, alongside that, you are aware the whole time that they're handmade, and we're very proud of that. We emphasize it. We point to it. Just in everything we do, actually, every choice we make tends to celebrate that handmade, human, intimate feel. So now along comes the technology that can sort of fake it pretty well. And so we can see that coming. Well, everyone can see it from. It's entirely obvious that it's coming. So what can we do? We can be, uh, as Nick said, embrace it. Yeah, I mean, maybe embrace rather gingerly, but still, we can. There's no point denying it, right? Um, let's be as ready for it as we can. And we've there's people here. Well, as you know, every company, every business is using AI already, so it's everywhere. But the full-on generative AI thing, um, we're not rushing to that at all. But I guess what could you say would be ready? Maybe is the best you can say. It is. I'm not complacent about it at all because it's a massive change. But when CGI became dominant, which is now what I don't know, it's 40 years ago, a long time ago anyway. Um, you know, there was a time when people said, "Well, what you Aardman do is now obsolete," because it can all be done with CGI, and we took that seriously as well, and we do. Perhaps this is a good comparison. We do quite a lot of CG within the company, within Aardman, in support of our main business, which is stop frame, which is handmade. So that's my approach. I think with AI, I think I feel like you're in a confined space with a very large furry creature that might turn out to be a jolly panda or might turn out to be a tiger. And so the important thing is to keep your eye on it forever. keep your eye on it and be prepared for anything. Yeah.
Absolutely. Is there a particular concern around sort of training up and the pathways for entry into the industry for the next generation of animators? Because for established executives, they maybe have a role and a stake in the industry, but for people learning their trade, maybe some of these technologies can sort of remove the necessity for some of those roles. Is that a concern?
I mean, yes, it is a concern. Yes. I mean, this is what's so weird about this technology that the people who are in favour of it speak about its um, the freedom it gives you, but the people who are engaged in it are understandably concerned about their careers, their jobs. We have at Aardman, we run a thing called the Academy where we do training, which is very important to us, and we've got a course running right now with a dozen very bright young people who are doing amazing work, all of them in the craft of stop motion, which they wanted to do. They chose to do, of course. And we're amazed and delighted that there is such an appetite for it. So many young people wanting into it, and maybe they're just they're young, but from their perspective, they're seeing the same thing that I'm seeing. That there's a whole world of mass-produced stuff out there. Thank God there's still a space, a room, and a desire and a need for uh, the intimate, the personal, And I think there will be. Yeah, I think there will. And maybe kind of like vinyl having a massive comeback. Maybe in a few more years, the the enthusiasm for the real will dominate again.
Absolutely. Well, yes, we hope that that space keeps existing and continues to thrive for a next generation. Now,
Yeah,
you mentioned Annecy, so this is
right.
starting in just a couple of days.
Yes.
Now, as you say, this is really the primary film festival for animated film, but also series and animation in all its many wonderful forms. What is
Yeah.
your history with the event? Do you remember how many times have you been? Do you remember when you first went?
Yeah, I should know that, shouldn't I? I've been I've been many times. I should think probably at a pluck a figure out the air, 12 times, something like that, I should think.
Okay, so over the years, you've
Over the
yeah
year. Yeah,
seen
yeah.
the different editions, and so what will you be doing? I know you've got a few different activities. You're hosting something, and then also visiting the UK Pavilion. What have you got going on there this year?
Yeah, for me, the main thing is a show, uh, a celebration of our work in the big hall, the Grand Salle, which is on Sunday. In fact, it's coming Sunday, I think. Yikes! And so that is we're being interviewed by journalists. We're showing, well, the whole thing from the past to the future, actually, from the first appearance of Aardman through to talking about the academy and talking about projects which are just still twinkle in the eye. Um, Personally, I first waited. I think it was 1981. I think it was, so quite a while ago. And back in those days, short films were the stars of the show. Short independent films from all around the world were the stars of the show. And for old time's sake, always, I always have an eye on those, even though we don't really do them anymore. And the reason we don't do them is economical. It is so difficult to fund those things now. Um, uh, so uh, so I'll be looking at feature films because that's clearly our business, and I'll be looking at short films for old time's sake. And you you see you'll see brilliant up and coming directors in those in the short films. And otherwise, I'll be on the pedalo out on the lake and eating prodigious amounts of melted cheese, which is the thing to Annecy.
That's an Annecy specialty, absolutely. Well, there's a lot
Yeah.
to look forward to there. And speaking of things to look forward to, we must also discuss now Shaun the Sheep, the Beast of Mossy Bottom.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
this is Shaun's third feature film adventure. I know Shaun has a long and storied history. What can you tell? So I know there are release dates set for different territories, but sort of throughout the autumn. What stage are you at with the film? Are you completed? Are you all ready to go?
Pretty well, yeah. And I say pretty well because we finished shooting, but still there's an awful lot of post production happening now. Tons and tons. Quite a lot of people here in this building are working on the post, the CG. It's funny that, like, as I said, perhaps too often our films are handmade and they look it. You can see that, but these days in the modern era, every shot has lots of post production on it that frankly the audience don't even see. So we're just about finished. Um, it, it'll be coming out around about Halloween, so it has a spooky, a comically spooky vibe. Hence the name, the Beast of Mossy Bottom. It's a terrific idea, which I won't spoil for you. But it's a great setting. It's a great setting, the farm that we know, but in autumn. So it's all very golden and autumnal and beautiful. Um, that's I guess, for Halloween. And then it has lots of the tropes of very traditional horror films and spooky movies, um, and um, and it's very, very funny. This is what we do so well. Um, the two directors, Matt Walker and Steve Cox, two excellent directors. You know, brilliant storytellers and very funny guys. That's what, and we do rate humor very highly. We know that a film, particularly in the modern era, animated films need to be about something emotional, and they're not just a gag fest. There's a story, there's personalities, there's heart and warmth and all these things. So and we have that, but on our list of priorities, comedy is right at the top of that list. as far as I'm concerned, you go to see an animated film to be entertained above all. And that's what we do. And this is hugely entertaining.
Look, I know there's been a great recent resurgence and popularity of horror, but I think having that theme to it, but with Aardman's wonderful humour, I'm sure audiences will be clamouring to come back to Mossy Bottom later in the year. So
Yeah.
than to
Yeah.
look forward to. I know at Aardman you're very careful of not taking on too many and are typically sort of doing one feature film, maybe with another one in sort of very early development behind that. Is there
Yeah.
something else that we can expect to see in the feature film space from Aardman after Sean's next adventure?
Well, now I'm afraid that's a fair question you've asked there, and I can't tell you what there is. No, I
It's
can't. Yeah, no.
watch this space. Is that the watch this
that's
space?
right. Yeah.
I'm sure that people will, be very excited once they've had their fill of, wonderful Aardman activities this year. Listen, Peter, it's a real privilege for us to speak to you on the Screen podcast, and we hope you have a safe trip and a wonderful trip to Annecy.
Thank you.
And congratulations on 50 years of Aardman.
Thanks, Ben. Great pleasure.
Thanks to Ben and, of course, to Peter for making time for this interview with the Screen podcast. That was fascinating to hear more about the history and the future and the present of Aardman. So we wish you both well in Annecy. Thanks to everybody who tunes into this podcast and to the whole team at Screen who makes it possible, especially our producer, Ellie Calnan, and digital editor, Orlando Parfit. We will see you again next Thursday. Thanks for listening.